Hello and welcome back to Redirecting. I'm going to be revisiting the video that I did with the young man who was disrespecting the officers. Apparently, some of you haven't seen the whole video. I just played a very small clip of the video. You need to see the rest of it because some of the comments that I'm reading are very disturbing to me because you don't understand the gravity of the situation when you are justifying this type of behavior. This young man was saying some very vulgar words. He was threatening physical bodily harm. He threatened to do some awful things to these officers. It just wasn't him telling them he didn't take anything. He went all of the way. So if you didn't see the full video, please click on the link in the description area. Listen to everything. He was disrespectful to his grandmother. It's very clear that she's quite possibly afraid of him. He keeps saying words like, "on my mother, I will do this, that, or the other." So it must be that his mom has passed away or something. I'm not sure about that, but he continued to say, "on my mother, I promise you, I will do this, that, and the other to you." So usually when kids say that, "on my mother," they're referring to grave. So that could be the reason why the aunt is raising, I'm sorry, not the aunt, but the grandmother's raising him. So that being said, she might be afraid of him. It doesn't sound like this is the only time he does this type of thing. It sounds like an ongoing thing. And the grandmother, she said something to him very briefly, and then he rudely dismissed her and she just backed off. And so for those of you who are justifying this type of behavior, calling him a warrior, saying that he's doing what some of you men won't do, you are picking the wrong person to call a hero. He is doing this for Facebook views. Listen to the whole video. He's talking about the people that are watching and how the numbers kept climbing, and each time he get more people watching. Apparently he was doing a Facebook Live. He would call off the numbers. He would say, "Hey, I got this many people watching, this many people," and he's throwing those numbers at the cops like, "You don't have this many people." This is a game to him. He has no understanding. And those of you who are justifying this behavior, I would like to know, where have you been for the past few decades here in this country? Where have you been? Because this kid is out of control. And although, as I stated before, I understand not wanting to be racially profiled. Some of you were saying that many of us would respond the same way. No, we don't. Everyone wouldn't respond like that. Everyone would not respond like that. And the person who doesn't respond like that, you can't call them a coward. I've seen so many comments making it seem as though this young man is some type of hero and anyone who doesn't respond this way is a coward. I guess this is why we keep burying people. This is why we keep burying black people, because you think being brave is cussing out the cops. That ain't got nothing to do with bravery. Like I said, do any of you know anything about the art of war? Have you looked at anything like The Last Samurai, how they have a strategy? War is strategic. First of all, you all are making this like it's war. Some of you are pointing out the fact that the kid is mixed, as if he gets more leeway because he may be mixed. I'm seeing a number of comments that are saying that. Well, in their eyes, he's not mixed. You know, even though that may be the case, in their eyes, he's a black kid. And so whether he's a black kid or a mixed kid makes no difference. Any child acting that way to police or authorities or their grandparents or anyone, that is out of order, period. I don't care what color or racial mix you are. It doesn't matter. I get the point you're trying to make, because in some cases, mixed people do get a few more mercies than we do. Okay. But when it comes to something like this, I just don't see it. This boy is very disrespectful. not just to the officers, but to his grandmother, to authority, period. I mean, you have to look at everything. He's threatening. I mean, this could be used against him. He is threatening. He's saying if he catches them outside of this place, what he's going to do to them. Now, for those of you who don't understand how things work in this country, how things work and have worked in this country, he's now a marked young man. Don't think that this is just going to blow over. They're going to keep his eye on him unless he moves to another area. Because that mouth, and get this, if he continues down this path, we all know where that will lead if he doesn't change his ways. Now, a lot of people are calling this young man a soldier. I'm trying to figure this thing out. Someone said too many are fearful and keep their mouths shut and are being violated. Now, get this. I understand where you all are coming from when you make such statements, but you have to understand, you running your mouth and cussing out and threatening people, you ain't going to do nothing but land yourself in prison. You're not being brave just by running your mouth. I don't understand why that amounts to being a soldier. When you look in scripture, I don't remember anybody just running their mouth, telling the enemy what they were going to do, just popping off their chops. Oh, I'm going to do this to you and I'm going to do that. That's not being a man nor a soldier. A real soldier knows the art of war. They have a skill behind it. They have a mindset and an understanding behind it. I'm not talking about a kid who's cussing at cops. I'm not talking about that. If you think that's a real soldier, I'm sorry. You need to go back to the drawing board. For people saying that they applaud this behavior, listen. Look at the whole video. I already know that, like Tamir Rice, I mentioned before, Tamir Rice, in just 2 seconds flat, he was out of here. They took him out. Okay? That was an awful thing. And so we already know what they are capable of. But you have to ask yourself, why would he put himself out there like that, knowing that things like that, which happened to Tamir Rice, happens? This is because nobody is talking to him about these things. I'm seeing a lot of comments that are making a whole lot of sense, but I'm seeing a lot of people who are applauding this. A lot of people. And they're giving reasons saying, oh, they're harassing him, so he's doing this, that, and the other. Of course, there are those who have done things the right way and still didn't make it out with their lives. But you don't keep on heaping gasoline to the fire. There is an art and a skill to being in battle. And this young man, if you think he's headed in the right direction, then you are helping to bury him. You're helping to put him 6 feet under. He's very disrespectful. He needs to be around the right adults that could help him to redirect that energy properly. He can still maintain his strength and manhood. I mean, I look at some of those that are, let me just give an example. Those in the Nation of Islam, I think they are. And I'm not Islamic, but I've seen how some of them have intervened when you go to these Asian shops where these men have put their hands on a black woman or disrespected black children. And these men go in there. They don't make any physical threats. They don't do any of that. But with their strength and honor intact, they tell these people, look, you will not do this in our communities. You will not treat our women this way. You will not treat our children this way. We will not spend one more dollar in this establishment. You are going to respect us or you're going to bounce up out of here. These men with great strength and integrity are more soldier-like than this kid who's cussing and threatening the lives of these people for just doing their jobs. If they call the cops, once they find out that the young man stole nothing, that's the end of that. I mean, we have to understand, in the land of our captivity, they've been doing this. We already know that they will follow you around and accuse you of something. We already know this. There's no surprise here. The surprise comes in with those who act like they don't know this stuff happens. And we're not saying to take it sitting down. You can go through the proper channels and do things the way they're supposed to be doing without putting your life in jeopardy, without putting your life in danger. Now that his grandmother's there, no doubt, they may want to look at her ID, talk to her. They're going to know where she lives, possibly where he goes to school. And just as some of you have stated, there may be a target on his little back. When you get this type of behavior from our young people, and you have grown people who act like they don't know what happens in this country and in this world, who applaud this and say, good for him. He's a soldier. He's a strong young man. We know what the other side is. We know what they are. We know that they are just patrolling and doing what they have historically done to our people. We know all of this. But when we sit back and justify this type of behavior, this is why the dysfunction in the Black community continues. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, look at the video I just did on the subject of the young man who was being rude to the police officers. Look at the comment section. People who obviously didn't look at the whole video, or they just didn't care that he was actually committing crimes, terroristic threats. He threatened to put his hands on these people and do stuff. Now, we know that he's a small child, but we also know how these people think. So it is what it is, family. We've got to be wiser than this, than to be trying to justify this type of behavior. All right, I'm done with this story, and I am out. Be sure to ring the bell to be notified of new uploads on this channel, and also comment, share, like, and subscribe.